Hey, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning in whatever room that is that we're in. I'd like to welcome Prahlad, Reddy, and Teti from Pure Storage. Prahlad has been in technology sales for the last 25 years. Currently supports customers based in Minnesota, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Prior to working at Pure Storage, he spent over 4 years at a $3 billion reseller where he helped companies with a variety of services, including digital transformation, cloud services, and data center infrastructure. Before that, he spent a number of years in data center security. Joe has been working in account management and solutions engineering for the last 8 years. During this time, he worked with a variety of companies, including Pure, NetApp, and NVIDIA. He's also enlisted service member in the Army National Guard, where he manages a data center for a decorated field artillery unit. Prahlad, Joe, thank you for presenting it in Vision.
Thanks for having us. Good morning, folks. Appreciate you making the time today. I gotta remember to keep holding this to my so you guys can hear me. So let's get started. I know we have 45 minutes. We don't anticipate taking all 45 minutes because I know you guys are going to be talked to a lot today, right? We want to kind of make this a little interactive. We have one client in the room. I think one might be coming. And, you are too? Fantastic. Nice to meet you. And so we'd like to hear, feedback from current clients, talk to hopefully potential clients as we go forward. But we want to start off by just talking about Pure at a glance, right? Who we are, how long we've been around. We were founded in 2009, and we put our first on-prem array out in 2011. So in the short 13 years, we are now a $2.75 billion company. We've had about 26% year-over-year growth. And if you look across, right, the tiles, 10,500 plus global customers. We have regional, like APJ, the Middle East, South America. But for you guys in the U.S., everything runs out of the U.S. Like we'll talk about support, we'll talk about part depots, everything around here, right? So everything is super accessible to our clientele. So we tend to move fast, right? We have a sense of urgency with things. So NPS score, does anybody know what NPS is? Net Promoter Score in this room by chance? So if you don't, it's a survey taken by customers on the product that they've bought. And we scored 85.2. The industry average is 24, right? So we're doing a lot of things right, which is translating into the kind of growth you're seeing. And it's kind of making us the number one in the industry for storage. The bottom tiles you are talking about are our Q2. We are a publicly traded company, so it's talking about our earnings. Q3 ended on Friday, so our official earnings aren't out yet, but we anticipate just as much growth as you see on this slide deck. So why Pure, right? It's all about the customer experience for us. From support to engineering to sales to everybody in the building, we talk about what is the customer experience like. From pre-sales to doing the sale and then post-sale, right? This is my second year at Pure. Last year I was in an account manager role, and if you get a chance, please come out to our booth. Sam Tobar is here, and she is now the account manager for the Central Region. So in that role, I dealt primarily with clients, right? Once they signed up, what did the future look like 3 years from now, 6 years from now, right? What does that journey look like with Pure? And for us, it's these tiles that you see kind of speak to what the customer experience is like, right? So on the average, customers should be seeing about a 61% TCO savings. So in the pre-sales process, when you do it with us, I'll show you a TCO based on the BOM that Joe creates, how we impact you 7 years to 10 years down the road, right? And we're probably the only vendor that you will see in storage that shows you what we call flat and fair pricing. So we'll show you what your renewal prices are going to be If you do a 3-year, right, 2025, 2028, we'll give you exact numbers on what that looks like. Nobody else does that. In my partner days, I remember other vendors, right? They'd see a 20 to 50% increase on those maintenance costs. And now all of a sudden I had the uncomfortable conversation with the client saying, I have to give you a renewal quote and it's gone up 40%, right? I didn't do anything wrong. It's just the way the vendor did it. We don't do that. We show you the TCO for 7 to 10 years so you know exactly what you're going to look like for the next 10 years as long as you own that array. The Net Promoter Score, just a slide that they added here to show you, what the industry average is. The Gartner, that should say 9 years. Last week it was released. We are now 9 years number one in storage. And we're very proud of that, right? And being that we're a company that's only been around for 13 years, out of which 9 years we're number one. And that's because of the innovation that we have. And we're going to talk about, the evergreen business model, right? So typical storage, right? You buy something, in 3 years, you have to rebuy everything. The hardware, the software, you have to do the data migration. With us, it's totally different. With Pure, you've got, once you buy a terabyte, you never rebuy it again. So if you're a gold customer, we just changed the name to Evergreen Forever, but it's really gold package. After 3 years, you get the free controllers. So when you get that renewal invoice from Network Center, you will see there's a line item that says free controller upgrade, $0. And all you're going to pay for is the installation. But in this case, Network Center does the installations, right? So you're really not going to see anything from Pure even from the installation standpoint when you get the free controllers in 3 years. So really what you're looking at is year one acquisition. You got your non-disruptive upgrade. So you could do that on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. You don't have to wait till off hours to migrate your data from day one when you buy the product from us. So I think we've done, what is it, Joe? How many thousands of installations now over the course of 13 years, right? There hasn't been any hiccups from Pure on our side in terms of doing the installations. 97% of arrays that are on Pure right now over the last 5 years are still with us. Because that kind of shows you in a company for 13 years, right? 5 years now on, they're still with us and they're still looking to renew with us and grow with us. Again, speaks more to, this kind of, I want to skip there, so I'm going to go over to basically what evergreen business model is, right? We give you a right size guarantee. So in the pre-sales process, we will put it in writing based on the BOM that Joe creates on what an interaction with you guys and what we are looking to put in your environment. We'll give you a right size guarantee in writing for 6 months that we have it right. Now, the love your storage guarantee, if it's not right, we will make it right. If we miss something and it's not to your standards and what we said it was going to be, we will make it right. If that means if we've got to change the appliance or we add more capacity, we will do that for you. All-inclusive array software. Everything's included. You're not buying piecemeal. You're not having to add something down the road. Free every 3, I kind of touched on that. If you're the gold customer, every 3 years you get the free controller upgrade. Its only thing is the installation. That's all it is. Upgrade flex and capacity consolidation. In that first 3 years when you're a gold customer, that upgrade flex, if you want to upgrade your controllers, say you want to go from an X20 to an X50, you will only pay the delta. You will not, because you've already paid for the X20s, so you'll only pay the difference for that. Capacity consolidation, if you want to turn the old data packs back to us, then you want to get something more capacity in there in the shelf, we will take those back, and again, you only pay the delta for that. So we're always looking to work with our clients in that capacity to make sure that we get things right. This is a slide of the entire portfolio for Pure, and I'm going to let Joe go through that one because he wants to.
All right. Okay. Can I get the? All right. So, yeah, there's a few things here at Pure that we do that's completely unique to Pure itself. From day one, we were built with Flash in mind. So everything we do is going to be all Flash all the time. We don't have any kind of spinning disks, no hybrid arrays, anything like that. And the actual drives or direct Flash modules, we call them, we actually build those in-house here in the U.S. We basically source the raw NAND, and those are built. So there's a few advantages to us doing that. It's not something that we necessarily wanted to do, but it really allows us to avoid being beholden to drive SSD manufacturers, EOS or EOL dates on specific drives, and it also allows us to completely bypass some of the bottlenecks you would typically see with the Flash translation layer. So all of our dedupe, compression, compaction, encryption, that's all done globally, not at the drive level. So that allows us to be a lot more efficient when doing that. But yeah, over the past few years, we've kind of branched out with our offerings, moving from just the Flash Array X, which is our kind of bread and butter. Again, all Flash, all NVMe, and we've kind of expanded the portfolio a bit here. So over here we have the Flash Array XL. This is a 5U chassis, and this is basically Flash Array X on steroids. So if you're scaling, into the many petabytes, that's something that's kind of where that would play. Then we have our Flash Array X, which is that's our bread and butter. So 90% of our customers are leveraging that. And then we also have this recent offering, which is our Flash Array C. So this is still all NVMe, all Flash, but what we've done here is this is kind of our answer to a tier 2 solution. So things like backup, video repositories, things that don't necessarily compress well, but take up a lot of capacity. This is kind of our answer to that. And it's kind of funny because this is meant to compete with hybrid solutions or all spinning disk solutions, but our tier 2 performance is still sub 3 millisecond response time. So it's kind of a funny solution, but that's our high capacity, lower cost solution. That's kind of Pure's take on it. Really, the biggest difference you'll see between the Flash Array X and the Flash Array C is that we leverage QLC NVMe drives, or QLC Flash. Next, we have our FlashBlade and FlashBlade S. This is it's a pretty niche product. We really rolled this out almost strictly. It's a unified solution, so it's a file and block unified solution. It's kind of purpose built for things like AI, machine learning, anything that requires a lot of parallel capabilities, and it kind of works as like an HCI type deal where on the newer FlashBlade S, you can scale by adding capacity or compute nodes, and then on the original FlashBlade, they're just individual blades that you would add, which include capacity and compute all at once. So this is a very, very unique product, but it's very popular with, if you're doing any kind of AI or machine learning, anything like that. Over here we have our converged solutions. So FlashStack is our turnkey solutions that we work with Cisco with. We have, I think, like 60 pre-validated designs for specific workloads and applications. So with this, you can say, this is what I'm running. I just want a full solution that includes compute, networking, and storage shipped to me. And I just want to be able to turn that on and get running right out the gate. And then similar with, we partnered with NVIDIA on our AIRI solution, which is same concept, but we're going to be leveraging DGX supercomputers and FlashBlade. If you're running any kind of Kubernetes or containerization, we also have Portworx, which is it provides additional data services for any kind of containerization platform. So you can do things like replication. It helps with persistent volume claims, and this is not. Even if you don't have a pure storage array, this is something that you can implement on basically any kind of storage. So as well as in the cloud. Here we have our Evergreen 1, Flex, and Forever. We'll touch on that in a little bit here. And then we also have our CBS, which is Cloud Block Store. And the easiest way to think about that is our pure service running on whatever cloud vendor you prefer. So that allows you to take advantage of our industry-leading efficiencies, replication technology, and save some money in the cloud there. Any questions on just the portfolio? All righty. All right, so now we'll move on to Pure as a Service. So this is something we rolled out a couple years ago, and it's a little unique. So basically, with Pure as a Service, what you can do is we'll deploy an on-prem solution for you. You don't have to worry about any kind of management of the arrays itself, and a lot of times you don't even know what the array is. But this basically allows you to purchase a service level as opposed to a specific solution that you own and manage yourself. So it kind of meets that middle ground between a fully OpEx model and a CapEx model. So you have that on-prem, all the benefits that you'd see with on-prem, but you're really only provisioning and using the amount of capacity that you want. So kind of treat it more as a utility than a full CapEx purchase. So kind of how it works is you'll, when we're sizing you out, you'll say, this is how much I want to commit to. We'll give you a discounted rate on that initial commit, but we'll over-provision those arrays to allow you to grow. So if you're not sure exactly where you're going to be at in 3 years, and you need to burst past that initial reserve, you're free to do that at any time. Once you do pass the initial reserve, we just bill you at a bit of a higher rate, but you don't necessarily have to go out and purchase new storage just to store some stuff. Or, if it's anything temporary or you're doing some kind of migration, you don't have to go purchase new capacity and keep it forever and then not use it. And then, after whatever term has been completed, you can always go back and renegotiate, say, I actually don't need this much, I'd like to lower it, or, if you want to raise it after 3 years or however many years, you can bump that up and continue to save money. So how this works is we're basically just phoning home to Pure One and just kind of taking a tab of where you're at capacity-wise 3 times a day. So pretty unique. And then here we have a customer list. Yeah, and I think on the slide it also said the minimum commit was 100 TIB, but it's actually 50. So if you don't need that much, that's kind of where that starts. But essentially, it would be a tier-based thing where we have capacity tiers, performance tiers, ultra tiers, and that's kind of how you would. Yeah. And then finally, this is so here at Pure, we really like to take a consultative approach when it comes to any kind of sizing or performance calls. So this is basically the form that we would send out at the end of some of our intro calls. We get kind of a feel for what you're doing, what kind of performance and what you're trying to achieve, and then we would ask you to kind of just fill this form out, shoot it back, and then from here we can leverage this to commit to a right size guarantee, which is essentially just a one page. Was it one page or two? Yeah, one page guarantee that we're going to size you correctly. And if you get to the point where we ship something out and we've done our due diligence and all that, filled it and sized it, and your workloads aren't fitting, we'll go back in and correct that for you, whether it's us eating the cost on capacity adds or capacity consolidations or even higher versions of the controllers or disk shelves. We'll eat that cost and make that right. So just having that one-page document that says we've done everything, this is going to fit, you're going to be good to go, you're not going to be bottlenecked. That's definitely good to have. Yeah. Yeah.
Smaller clients who wanted proven to be very cost effective. We're selling a lot of those because clients are understanding I could get a Rolls Royce for a Honda Accord. So it's not on the slide deck, they haven't added it, but we're seeing a lot of flow. And we're finding that in this market, in Minnesota and Dakotas, I'm seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, and then with the Flash Express Suite bundle, that's basically the biggest difference between a new Pure Array and the Flash Express Suite is one, you get a 10 terabyte CBS license as well. So if you wanted to replicate to the cloud or set up some kind of DR site in the cloud, we would give you that license included in the Flash Express Suite. But it's also just it's the R2 controllers. So the main difference there is just going to be we're running different CPUs. So it's the previous architecture, but it would still be all Flash, all NVMe. Very, very minuscule difference between the two controllers, and you also get that CBS license. So, but it's a lot. It's definitely a bargain for sure. So, it could. I mean, that's something that we're working on, but currently, right now, it's just 32 gig fiber channel. So, 16, 32 gig fiber channel, 125, 50 iSCSI. So. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's another. That's another thing is we got the coolest bezels in the industry, especially. Yeah. This is doesn't.
We're just selling so many. Like we're having record quarters after record quarters. We can't make them fast enough, so our lead time is stretched to 6. But we're holding at 6. I think life is part of the event. So all that means is you get on a call with Joe and myself,
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, he mentioned all-inclusive software. So one thing about Pure is the word license doesn't really apply. When we roll out new features, worst case scenario for current install-based customers, if they want to leverage some software that we release, you'll have to update your Purity, and that's done, or your OS version, and that's going to be done completely non-disruptively. Support, it would be a quick support case that you'd create. You'd open up a remote session, and support would run the show for you. You don't have to do all your pre-checks. You don't have to make sure your environment's going to be okay to run this OS version. Support does all the checks for you. So it takes all the guesswork and homework off of your plate. And through our Pure One SaaS program, you can actually get eyes on our support team's calendar directly and schedule it directly on their calendar. So you basically just pick whatever date, whatever time you want to do that update and run that out. So that applies to all software. And with safe mode, so all of our snapshots are immutable by default, but safe mode basically takes it one step further. And what it does is it sets up a multi-factor authentication process when it comes to not only deleting your snapshots or changing the eradication timer, which we'll get into in a second, but it really forces you to have a multiple points, a multi-factor authentication via a support engagement with 2 of your admins. If you want to do anything from deleting snapshots to changing your replication schedule or any of your P group policies, if you want to ratchet that downward, you can't do that without support getting those pins verified with at least 2 admins. So they can go in and delete it, but basically what happens is it's going to move into essentially what is a recycling bin, and based off whatever SOPs you establish, say 7 days, those snapshots, those changes won't take effect until that eradication timer has expired. So basically, I just like to consider it an airbag deploying in the event of some kind of ransomware attack, or even if you have a disgruntled employee that's trying to cause havoc on the way out, he's not going to be able to achieve anything from a deletion standpoint or a ratcheting downward standpoint without at least 2 admins going rogue. So it's not going to prevent any kind of ransomware attack, but it does allow you to remediate from some of those snapshots instead of just starting from scratch, which is definitely not the way to go. But any questions about safe mode? It's a pretty unique feature, so but it's definitely been popular. So really the next time you're going to be spending additional CapEx is if you decide to say, I need more capacity. That's the only time you're going to see an increase, whether it's from a CapEx perspective or a support increase. So it's really just tied to your capacity when it comes to support. You never buy the same terabyte more than once. So even if you do a controller upgrade and pay that delta difference between an X10 and an X20, we're not going to go in and swap out, the DFMs or charge you for the same terabytes that you already own. It's really just, you're only going to see increases as you increase capacity. So. No. It-
I sold it in good intention, just like everybody else does, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm like trying to help the customer solve a problem that was out of my hands. This stuff, I've been here 2 years, I have seen nothing that's reached a level where we had to get somebody involved and say, oh my God, something went wrong. I have not seen it. And I had the central region and Southeast last year for all customers in the corporate space, so that's 500 million below that I was dealing with. And I'm not lying. Every single call, that's the first question I asked. Talk to me about your Pure experience. And it would be from a 5 to 15 minute, we love it, we don't touch it, right? Help us figure out what the next step is. This is what we're trying to do. Can you tell us what the roadmap would be with Pure and what's coming up down the line, right? So, yeah. Give us a chance to demo it. Give us a chance to put you on a phone call with one of our customers. Absolutely. And if you want it in your backyard, we'll go find one. If you want it in your vertical, we'll go find one, right? We'll make it happen.
Oh yeah, no, I actually you just sent us an email. I know what you're talking about, and I will do that. I didn't realize you were going to make that comment. It's not that I'm like skeptical to the point where I'm pretty sure we're going to be here next year. It's just this is such a different model compared to what I'm used to. I'm used to CapEx every 4 years and having to get that approved, and it's not fun.
No, it's not. And I'll be honest with you, we just finished Q3 for us. We're coming into Q4. Our fiscal year is February 1st to January 31st. We get extremely aggressive in Q4. And I've been given a directive saying, find out when clients have their next renewal dates coming up, right? Because you might have it in July of next year. We're going to work with you on that. We want to put you in a Pure rate today and not have you pay for it until your July date. That's what it is. So I'm willing to work with Network Center on that. Reach out, please. Because stop doing the old way of doing business. Because it's like a faucet. It's like once you turn it on, it just keeps dripping. And the water keeps pouring out, and you guys are spending a lot of money, and it never stops. Right? This is spending money smart. So I love selling this stuff because I feel confident and I feel like clients are in good hands, right? I'm selling something of value. I'm I'm selling something that's actually going to make a difference in your bottom line. So when you're sitting with if you're having a meeting with your finance folks and your CFO, and I show you that TCO for 7 or 10 years, nobody else is doing that. Like to the dollar, I'm showing you what it's going to cost you to own that array for the next 7 to 10 years. I couldn't do that when I was at the partner level with other vendors because they didn't give me the ammo to do that, right? I can share that TCO with any network center person and say, you can say it with confidence because that's what it's going to be. Any other questions?
So you guys are talking about snapshots. Does this take over our current backup solution then too?
So for backup, we still recommend that you leverage something like Veeam or something for backup specifically. But yeah, you can run snapshots on the array level as well, and they're hyper efficient. So they really just notate that delta difference between those incremental snaps. So typically, we recommend if you have 10% or more capacity to go or available to enable array level snapshots. But we integrate very well with companies like Commvault, Veeam, Rubrik, all the big ones. So yeah. Yep. Yeah, and if you're using VMware as well, we have a plugin that you can deploy and do 99% of storage management directly through that plugin with vSphere. So that just takes as simple as Purity is. It's kind of a boring demo just because it's so simple. Everything is just a few clicks, and you're like, that's it. We're serving data. Everything's configured. But you can actually cut that out completely and just leverage vSphere if you're more comfortable with that. So.